Boom! We are alive, ladies and gentlemen. What a wonderful weekend that was. It's Monday now, 9 a.m. here in Costa Rica on September 6th, 2021, ladies and gentlemen. We are in the future, at least if we were pretending it was yesterday. Anyways, it is right now, and what is exciting is, well, the moment, I guess, technically speaking, if I want to be a little coy and shy about the whole experience. But let's start with Bitcoin. Hopefully y'all enjoyed that. Thanks for joining us today on another wild and wonderful Monday morning monetary market meditation. So let's go for as much alliteration as we can in each of the sentences today. And what we've been doing here is studying trading ranges. The Wyckoff trading ranges have been one of our favorite moments since the start of the pandemic, which is effectively when the bull market started. And that moment when the bull market started was known as a spring. For those of you that have been studying along, you will remember this sector. Now, I'm not looking at it right now, but this is phase C. This was the spring of the intermediary accumulation zone that we are in right now. Now, I do believe that this is about halfway through the market, near the end of the market cycle. Whatever momentum we see next will probably be the end. Now, that's over the next 60 to 120 days. Let's put a buffer on either side of that there because it can get a little crazy. But what does that mean for us? Well, one of the beautiful things here is we've had 1, 2, 3 confirmations of higher lows on Bitcoin. Again, these kind of things are really like, look guys, we're not going lower. These are all bullish scenarios, and not just higher lows, but look, hey, look, higher high. Oh, look, a higher high and a higher high. And currently, even though we are not out of this area yet, this is actually higher than that area. So it is a higher high technically after, again, a higher low. Very, very important to understand, this is also a rising gradient bottom of another very powerful range, leaving out the backside of our spring. So when Bitcoin moves next, it'll probably do something like this. I suspect we see a little bit more accumulation between 51 to 54,000, and then we're going to rip to like 80 or 90 grand. We'll probably do another reaccumulation channel between, let's say, 80 and 90, something like this. A final reaccumulation channel, and I think we're going to go to about 140 grand, and then the bull market will be over for Bitcoin. That's what I suspect will happen. We'll follow along every step of the way, though, because things can change quite dramatically. We're not trying to get it exactly right. We got the very start of the bull market right, so we've been enjoying the ride. For those of you that are late to the market cycle, let's say you showed up, you started to buy your first Bitcoin anywhere between March and today. You were quite late to the market. But that's okay. Better late than never is a very, very common understanding. But I want to go over something here just really quickly before we move away from Bitcoin, which is understanding that the majority of the Bear family who are in our private group made entries down here. This was a very, very bullish moment. Now that you've been studying the Wyckoff trading ranges with us, you will recognize something very beautiful here. This was a reaccumulation channel right here. Perfect horizontal reaccumulation channel, and then we had a reaccumulation after decline here as well. The rising gradient bottom, you can go back and look at all of our videos. We're like, guys, this is a rising gradient bottom. This shit is super bullish right now. And it was extraordinarily bullish. Most of the entries were made back here. That means there is very little risk, if not, well, basically there's no risk on the table right now for most of us. If you entered the market late, and you were here, there's much less risk if you were in this area. We may come back down this low in the next bear market, but it's probably closer to $60,000 would be the floor. That guy sounds like he needs to fix his plane. That is a very loud plane. Buddy, I think your exhaust is broken. Anyways. This is always the fun part about a live stream. You get to improvise. So initial entries at the beginning of the bull market is always nice. There's a way to counteract that. And that's what we actually suggest to everyone, which is a month-over-month strategy of accumulation, whatever you can fit into your budget, and basically ignore price. And you're like, well, Tio, why do you waste all your time going over these charts and technical analysis if you're telling us to ignore it? Well, it's because I like learning. In the last 2 years, we've gotten really fucking good at technical analysis. Now, again, there's buffer room on either side. As with any good artistic approach to something, what we're doing is really trying to measure the human psychology of market sentiments, right? So, for instance, as soon as we crossed over this moment here, in all the assets, I went very bullish. I said, look, we're going to continue the bull market. Anyone that says otherwise, I think is incorrect. And that's really important to have that level of confidence. First off, I don't listen to anyone else. Like I'm not like checking out other YouTubers. I'm like, oh, well, what does Benjamin Cohen have to say about this? No, I don't give a shit at all. I know exactly what I think is going to happen, and I'm going to stick to that because it's performed really well for me. That's what you should do too. Technically, I'm basically telling you, you shouldn't even listen to me necessarily. I'm like, yo, hold on. Don't even listen to me. I don't want followers. No, what I want you to do is go through the process that I enjoy doing, which is understanding these market cycles. Here's the execution strategy that you can bring to the table that will perform fantastically, which is just accumulate, especially when you're younger. And then in the meantime, let's study these charts and learn something. And that's really why we go over these morning meditations, isn't so that you can try to jump in here and like sell here and maybe rebuy back in here before and then resell here. No, I want to do none of that. I think that would be entirely annoying. Anytime like, oh my God, if it just goes here, it's going to go here. No, we are in a bull market. We are still in a bull market. And when that bull market ends, I will be very happy to go, hey, I think it's over, but it's not yet. There's another few big moves coming. This is a big reaccumulation channel that we see for Ethereum, that we saw for Bitcoin. I mean, for Ethereum here, you're looking at another 100 days of accumulation. It's very, very plausible that we're going to go for another 100 days of bull market. Now, again, there's going to be sideways. There's going to be choppiness in there, right? Look how many days we spent in this horizontal channel. 30 days, right? And then on the lower channel, it was like 60 days. So 79, whatever, close to 60. So the point of this is we don't want to get too overzealous about price movements in the small term. I try to basically ignore like, oh my God, if it like can't break here, it's going to go down here. No. As long as we had our spring, we had our close above the point of control, we had a nice SOS and reaccumulation after that SOS, we're going higher, ladies and gentlemen. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, in my opinion. Hey, look, I go out there, put my thoughts on the line, and the market's gonna prove my thesis or not. So far, it's been pretty damn good, actually. I'm actually impressed. The Wyckoff accumulation channels, if you know what you're doing, if you know what you're looking for, and if you keep practicing, basically are repeatable processes with not a whole lot of effort. So for instance, Avalanche performed very well for us last week. I wanted to prove my point by putting a bunch of money on the line. We took a big position right around this blue circle here. You could find that in the private den. Anyone who is in the private den, you will have seen that in our little trade setups area. Again, I do not suggest you take the trades I'm doing. I'm just showing you key indicators of where, when, and why, and what indicate. Because look, this is basically across the board the same. Here's Bitcoin. Again, falling wedge accumulation, break into the SOS, and it's continuing to move higher. And this rising gradient bottom for the SOS is, again, another really bullish pattern for Bitcoin. Ethereum was a reaccumulation after decline. So we had a sharp change from the top of the trading range to this longer trading range here. Now we're at our SOS, and now we're going to continue to move higher. So with Avalanche, when I saw that there was this opportunity to enter in outside of the widening megaphone of after the spring, this is where we took positions, because I felt that even if I was going to be, let's say, early, like I had to wait another 30 to 60 days, that we would see a big move. And lo and behold, we did 190% in less than 10 days. Like I got that one basically perfect in terms of timing and everything. Whereas with 1 inch, we're a little early, right? So I started building my position in 1 inch here. Now you're like, oh, well, Tio, explain to me exactly what you did. Well, it's visually identical, right? So what are we doing? We're marking out key points of the trading range. We see our multiple bottom being built on the falling wedge for the first part of A, B, and C. We see our spring in C, justified by this circle here. We then, although the point of control has moved up, at this moment for 1 inch, when it broke across here, it was above the point of control. But again, into the top of this widening megaphone pattern, slammed right back down to the bottom of the widening megaphone pattern. It's likely what we'll do is get this up to the top, see a reaccumulation pattern, and then kaboom. Right, so this is a repeatable process, and these patterns are repeatable. But first off, the majority of you shouldn't be trying to use these to your advantage. You should just be focused on, is it the 11th of the motherfucking month? Am I going to buy more X, Y, and Z assets? That's really the best strategy all of you should play. But in the meantime, this is what we're learning, right? So a lot of you rush in, it's your first 2 years, like, oh, I want to figure it all out right now. It's not even going to bode you the best results by learning a lot of this. So just be patient with your learning process. But again, as you can see with Avalanche here, and where 1 inch is currently sitting, there is likely a big move just around the corner for 1 inch. We are kind of finalizing the aspect of the trading range here. We're right in the top of the trading range. We've got this big gap up to around $44.6, which will probably fill in the next few days. And then we're probably gonna have a big jump up to around $8, $9, $10, $12. Now, I don't really try to pick the tops. The goal here was that I can see there's probably something like 100 to 200% of a gain here, and that's it. That's how that trading range would be used in terms of trading. But again, I don't recommend anyone trade. The problem being is that you are just much better off doing long-term accumulation strategies. So look at Cardano here. Cardano was a really interesting one, just at least in terms of the trading range itself. I'm not the smartest guy in the internet room because the internet is infinitely big. But what I can share here with you is my thoughts around the trading ranges here. So we saw a nice trading range take place. We thought that this was the spring, and we thought we were going to see a reaccumulation pattern up here. We didn't get that. See, and this is one of the dangers too, right? Is you need to be able to, at least if you want to take short-term trades, which I do not suggest you do. You could say you took a trade here, you go up, you don't take the profit here, you're stuck in this position, you're paying the funding rate for like 90 days. It's costing you $300 a day to keep a $100,000 position or something like this. I don't know. So it's not always beneficial to get it wrong when you're trading. Whereas if you're just, hey, every step of the month, I'm going to buy my budgeted month, you're like, yay, I'm up. It's just such a smarter game plan. But again, the reason why we go over these trading ranges is because there's a lot of valuable stuff to learn. I actually think that this is a reaccumulation after decline. It's not as clear set as Ethereum, but it does look similar if you remove some of the noise. So I believe this is a reaccumulation after decline. And again, you don't see dead cat bounces make new all-time highs. This should be a blatant, clear signal to anyone who's looking at the technical side of things. You do not see new all-time highs in multiple assets in a bounce. Okay, that's not how bounces work. Just be clear about this. Solana, on fire. Again, look at the trading range. Let's just repeat this because that's what's been happening. The world of psychology repeats itself. You see these repeating patterns. Again, falling wedge. Boom, we saw our low volume spring. And then every moment after that, through this rising gradient bottom into the finalization of the trading range, bang, another horizontal accumulation trading range before going boom and going even higher. So repeatable processes that are actually quite obvious, I think. Now that once you see them, you can't unsee them. And once you know what it feels like to be in the fear and greed of a market cycle, you can't unfeel it. So it's very beautiful. At $146, that's let's see, had you made the entry, even at the middle of that range, it's a 300% gain in less than 50 days. That is not a bounce, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry. Dead cats do not bounce to new all-time highs. I still think it's a little bit psychopathic that's what people use as a common terminology. Let's call it the dead politician bounce from now on. So for those of you that are wondering, I will from now on call it the dead politician bounce. Hopefully you don't get banned on YouTube for that. I can't believe you can, well, I mean, maybe they'll start banning people for saying dead cats bounce. I don't know. Fucking ridiculous. The world we live in today. Okay, Serum. Let's get out of the gray area of politics and free speech and back to the monetary meditations. Serum, the underlying decentralized index for Solana has been performing well. Again, there's a nice falling wedge that you can see here. I didn't draw this one up, but I think if it should be obvious for you to see. You had this nice rising gradient bottom through the rest of the horizontal trading range. SOS, LPS, SOS, LPS. And then you usually get another big SOS. Now we'll wait. I think we could see as high as $24 for Serum still. But again, one step along the way. Here's your spring. Here's the channel that says you should be accumulating out the backside of this trading range. And here's the early parts of your gains. Okay, Link, also beautiful move here. Again, as you can see, horizontal trading range, not as clearly defined, but here's your spring. Here is your rise outside of the outside of the box. You could, again, SOS, LPS, SOS. You'll see another LPS, and then you'll probably get a bigger SOS. I don't know how high we're going to go for Link. We're already quite high, but I definitely think you could see above the previous all-time high in the next few moves. So these trading ranges are extraordinarily important. Soul Rise, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that are in our private group that enjoy playing around with heads I win, tails I only lose, little sentiments like this, Soul Rise is now up 280% since our initial entries. In the private group now, that's an average of like, let's say 23 times. Now, that's because Star Atlas was fucking ridiculously amazing, but let's remove Star Atlas just because the outliers and that asymmetry is what we want, but let's not measure it. Let's just look at average asymmetry, which is kind of funny to think about, but even still, average asymmetry is around 5 to 10x. Real Fever did a 13x for us. Manga was a 4x. You know, you want to see more momentum behind the manga art. You know, they've got a big community, but so I'm still interested in that one over time. But yeah, we've just seen so many explosive gains. Now, one of the other fun places we've been really able to assert that the use case of these gains was, yeah, well, let's actually go over here. Okay, so boom, we've been telling everyone about the Star Atlas IDO it was on Radium, Apollo X, and FTX. Huge fans of FTX. If you haven't signed up for FTX yet, go to arcanebear.com/FTX and sign up. They're the best exchange, hands down, period. End of story. I have not seen anything that comes even close. So if you're looking for an exchange, I suggest FTX. But Star Atlas just was an astronomical gain. I'm not even sure they're going to show the percentage growth here out of this, but I took some profit the other day. As soon as I saw Ivan on Tech talk about it, I'm like, okay, we're probably near a top for a bit. That was insanity. And Ivan's usually a little slow getting to the early stuff. Not that that's his, he just focuses on other stuff. I like finding things before they're popular. They like talking about things after the price has gone up and when they're popular. I like to try to find them before everybody talks about it. It's like my favorite thing to do. Anyways, so we saw this explosive growth. I think there was, at one point, it was like 120x. If you go to my Twitter account, we've been sharing information about Star Atlas on Twitter too. And yeah, it was upwards of like a 20x on up there. Yeah, we saw, no, sorry, 40 to 50x. Like, yeah, here's where was this? Some of the Star Atlas ones were up like 40x right out the gate. Anyways, I don't want to go too much into that, but the point of it here is that's how asymmetry feels. That's what it looks like. I had a few of you reach out with who had made life-changing money, where like you put in $1,000 and you walked away with 100 grand. So congratulations. That is exactly the point of all these, like all of the episodes that I have ever made basically are like, hey, look, asymmetry in motion. This is what it looks like. This is what it feels like. Here's how you achieve it. Beautiful, perfect example. And it happened in less than 3 weeks, which is fucking absurd. You normally look for asymmetry like that over the course of 3 years. So the blockchain gaming space. So that was a new thing for me. So over the last 2 months, you would have recognized Real Fever is an NFT gaming space. Manga, another NFT, not gaming space. I didn't really get it before, but once I started to get it with Real Fever, I've started to become very interested because I don't collect those things. I don't play blockchain video games. I'll probably never do it, but you know, I started to understand that like this Axie video game, I got 3 Axies here. Shout out to Loki and big shout out to Supernova Leanne as well. They had showed me that they had Axies and they had people in the Philippines using the Axies to play the video game and making more money than the average Filipino could make working at a store that they owned in the community. And so you're seeing this deflationary process of people playing video games making more money than the average person could make at their job. So I was like, oh, this is I want to be part of this sector, and that's why we were really excited about Star Atlas. Is because even, you know, the majority of my thesis is focused on decentralized financial products, but the gaming and the collectible niche, especially when I saw what Axies did, I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. I'm not going to miss this again. Anyways, so screw the Bitcoin maximalists. They have no idea what they're talking about. They think money's the only important thing, but clearly it's what people find valuable that's one of the really important things to talk about. So I would just hope they all recognize that eventually. Otherwise, they're just going to keep repeating the same thing and sound like a goddamn broken clock. Okay, some fundamentals here. The fear and greed index take a look at the last year here. Boom, from October all the way through till May, we were in overgreed areas. We are in moderate greed right now. We haven't hit full peak out greed. I think once Bitcoin gets into like $58,000, you're going to see this jump up and we'll start to peak out in the crypto greed index. But for now, we're in moderate greed, and I do believe that this is just basically a giant accumulation channel. It even looks like that in the greed area. Not too greedy, but just greedy enough where they can accumulate more before marking the price up another 100 to 200%. Yes, so that's super exciting. Everything looks good there. The other important part to go over, the other day when Bitcoin's price dropped a little bit, you saw another big chunk of supply leave the markets. We're now at the lowest supply on all the exchanges. Oh wait, hold on. Is there a bit more data there? No, yeah, the lowest amount of supply for Bitcoin on the open exchanges. Excuse me, improv, right? Okay. So yeah, down at around 13% of all Bitcoin on the open exchanges right now. This means more volatility in the future, and the fact that we see the price, every time the price drops, they buy up a big chunk and take it off the open markets, I think is another clear signal that we are in a bull market still. Again, we're going to be really interesting to see how the next 3 to 4 months play out. I think it's going to give us a clear and common denominator for what to look for next. But until then, I'm keeping my sights just closed in on the next 6 to 12 months. Or just think about the next 10 years, Bitcoin is going to $5 or $10 million, and just keep buying every price that you can get your hands on, because who cares about profit taking? Just make sure you don't have to spend that money on your baby's diapers, because then you fucked up and did something wrong. And get a job, generate revenue, produce something viable, useful, and productive, like a product or a service for your community, and get along, doggy. Does anyone like my rants? I like my rants. I think I say some pretty ridiculous stuff sometimes. In case you're wondering, this is all freestyle. I always freestyle. I just wake up, I'm like, hey, let's go live and see what the markets are doing. I don't look, I don't check before. This is it. Like, I'm discovering it with you guys along the way as well. So thank you for joining us. This is Tio with the Arcane Bear. Give us a thumbs up if you like this content. Remember, I'm bullish still. I've been bullish as soon as we crossed over that mark. There's the moment in phase C. If you're studying along with us, where it's always a little like, could go either way in phase C. Like, and luckily it turned back bullish, or not luckily, I guess rather either way, if you know the long-term story. Any price is a good price in the long term of asset accumulation. When they're just printing dollars and giving them away, that means the inflationary process is stealing from you on a daily basis. And instead of sitting on assets that they can just basically steal from you, or not assets, dollars, then put those dollars into something productive and useful. Businesses, investments, assets, all those fun things. Remember, give us a thumbs up again. Like the video, comment, share it with your family and friends. Let's see if we can actually be popular, although I doubt that's true. At least I'm popular with you. I love you guys. It's always a pleasure to do this. I'm very grateful for the Arcane Bear family, the community. Thank you to all of the new private bear members that joined this week. It was a bunch of you. Probably seeing I know it was because a bunch of you made a bunch of cash from the Star Atlas, because we've been talking about it in our videos as well. So nice to see you in the Bear family. I appreciate the support. It's allowing us to hire more writers, scale up more content, and then just take time off me, because I just like to research, find those cool early things, make the investment, and walk away. Like, I'm not trying to tell you guys every day what you need to do. I'm not trying to tell you, oh, you need to go to Radium and do this. Like, here's what I think's interesting. You have to figure out the rest. So best of luck on your journey. We always support through as much as we can, but this is just a big learning process for everybody. So my main focus is the things to research that I find interesting, like the fact that, hey, I think the metaverse in the blockchain gaming sector is going to be probably a pretty big deal. I agree with the market. Yeah, I disagree with the Bitcoin maximalists. Anyways, thank you all for joining us, and we will see you guys again on the next. Oh, wait, hold on. Should we do a question and answer? Yeah, let's do a question and answer moment. That's all. I tricked you. I almost tricked a few of you, I bet. You're like, I bet you're like, oh no, Tio's done for the day. This is it. No, we're going to hang out a little bit longer, and we're going to go in. We're just going to rip through a few of your guys's, go through a few of your guys' questions here. Okay. Nice. Let's see here. What is the next Atlas? Have no idea, but I always try to find them. Sol is not even halfway. Yeah, exactly. We're gonna see. I think we're gonna see new highs. What's the best price for buying Sol? You shouldn't. If you're asking questions like that, it means you don't understand what I've been saying, and I would suggest just re-listening to what I've said over and over and over again, because that's basically an almost irrelevant question, at least in my opinion. Hex. I'm not invested in Hex. Look, we're trying to get Richard Hart on the show because I think he's interesting, but I'm not invested in Hex. Can you go over Theta? No, I don't want to go over any more charts right now. I'm glad you guys are laughing at my chats. Awesome. Are you still living in Costa Rica? Yes. This is just a home I've been renting here in the city. So I'm working on the house in the jungle right now. So I'm still in Costa Rica. Awesome. Well, we're going to leave it at that because they're going to... Thank you guys for joining us today. I'm going to tell these guys to stop working because I can't work with this, right? Anyways, all these damn broken planes today.